your ass recomposition.
Look, this is where we need the cue in the music from Bubba Sparks, Miss New Booty.
Oh, come on.
It's my
Oh
theme
my
song.
God.
It's
Oh.
my theme song.
I found you,
Yeah.
Miss New Booty.
So I literally got a brand new crotch.
Congratulations.
I know. I am excited about
Was it new or used or new used?
It is refurbished.
Refurbished.
As
It
long
is
as you didn't
refurbished.
order it from Wish.
I did not.
Thank
I did
God.
not.
Reupholstered in the world.
You
There
got the
are-
you got the Macy's, Nordstrom.
There are days that I wish I
Saks.
didn't, but yeah. So I had to have a partial hysterectomy, which is where they leave your ovaries, but they take your fallopian tubes and your uterus. So I can no longer have a period. I can no longer get pregnant.
Darn.
I am still actively in perimenopause, but I will continue to do that naturally because I have my ovaries to release the natural hormones that I need. I also had a bladder sling and bladder mesh placed because my bladder started to slip and fall and prolapse, which is called a cystocele. And then my pelvic floor also gave way, and I developed a rectocele, which is a rectal prolapse. So basically what happened...
You're using a lot of words.
I know. I'm about to
Sounds like a
explain.
doctor, and it's hot.
I am about
Dr.
to
Steph on the
explain.
mic.
I'm like, prolapse. What the fuck
So
is a
basically,
prolapse?
I got a bulge in my rectum, which fell forward into my vaginal canal, and then my bladder slipped through the muscles and fell on top of that bulge, and then my uterus sat down on top of everything. So removed, put back in place, put back in place. So that's, and then they repaired my pelvic floor so that it's stronger to support, because your pelvic floor supports your body content, right? You've got like different layers. You've got like, your diaphragm, you've got your abdomen, but you also have another diaphragm underneath of that, and then your pelvic floor. Even in men, when your pelvic floor starts to go, you will start to lose continence. You will pee on yourself. You can possibly shit on yourself. Thank God I didn't really have that. I didn't have that issue because of the way that the rectocele was, although there were times in my life that were dicey. And I definitely played Russian roulette one too many times in certain scenarios.
How long was this whole surgery?
The surgery itself took about 6 hours. The most non-complicated part, ironically enough, was the hysterectomy. They did that laparoscopically. So I just had 2 little puncture wounds, one on each side of my abdomen and one inside my belly button. They were able to get all of that out that way. But the prolapse surgery was the most excruciating, and it's the one that's taking the longest to heal. Because with that, they have to cut the back of the vaginal wall probably 2 inches into your
Did you
wall.
just feel that? Did you just feel that? Oh.
Yeah, they have to cut it, because what they do is they cut it and then they literally tighten it. And here's the thing is that everybody's like, oh, you had a vaginal prolapse, you must be loose booty. That's your vaginal wall itself, like the cylinder part is not what's loose. It is the muscle structure that holds that. But in order to fix it, they have to cut and like
Make it tighter.
They have to
Makes
make
sense.
it
Yo,
tighter
you just said
with the
that.
muscles.
When you just said that, the first thing that came to my mouth
Loose
is
booty.
Loose booty.
I was thinking the same thing. I was about to say cue in loose booty.
They're
I
so
was about to say
sensitive.
that.
I
this.
seriously though, but like every time that song, because it's on my playlist, every time that fucking song came on my playlist, I was like, "Fuck you, fuck you." But funny enough, not in the vaginal area was that loose, but in my rectum, because of that bulge, that was very loose, and that was a direct result of a very traumatic delivery with my son, where I had a 3rd-degree tear in my rectum, and they did not repair it well enough. And then after the repair, I didn't give myself time to properly heal. So I just kind of like hit the ground running after I had my kid, and I'm carrying him, the car seat, strollers, up and down stairs. I'm just not giving my muscles the opportunity to mend themselves. So we fast forward to 27 years later, and the whole entire structure has just collapsed. And so it was just about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started noticing sexual dysfunction, which was like, so women, when we get to a certain age, the coughing, sneezing, and the peeing on ourselves kind of becomes the normal thing that we
Jesus.
we don't even think about it anymore. Like,
I don't
oh,
need
I
that in my
tinkled,
life.
you know what I mean? And we just kind of keep
You're not
going
there yet,
about-
Tanya. You're
Hell
not there yet.
no, and I don't want to be.
I
I
haven't had that. I don't know if it's because I don't have kids, and so nothing came out that way.
no, I don't think
Yeah.
it has
I
anything to
don't
do
know.
with that. Does it?
Well, having kids absolutely
It
adds to
makes
that.
it worse.
Yeah, it absolutely makes it worse because when you're having bladder incontinence, it's because your urethra tube has bent and it doesn't have the muscle support anymore to hold it up and straight. That's where
That's why
the
you do
bladder
Kegels.
sling. That's why you do Kegels to keep those
Okay, I'm
muscles.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
to
doing
keep
right
those
now.
muscles good. Yeah, everybody do their Kegels while we're sitting
Yeah.
here. Just act like you're picking
Yep.
up a little golf ball with your butthole.
Oh my goodness.
But I digress. Back to the thing. But when the back end is loose, it's scary. It's again back to the sexual dysfunction. Like there were just certain things that were being felt at all given times that were uncomfortable, that weren't uncomfortable before. You know, peeing, I would have to, it was almost like I would have to rock and rotate my body as I was sitting on the toilet to kind of like straighten that tube out so that I could get a consistent flow.
Another reason why Patricia's not going to have kids.
Well, it's hopefully too late now anyway.
But, you know, there were just so many markers along the way that I just assumed in my head, this is my new normal. After having a kid, this is what it is. And after having the surgery, now that everything is fixed, learning that just how bad it was. Now when I cough or sneeze and I can feel how tight those muscles are and engaged, I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, like my whole bottom was about to drop out.
So basically, what we're saying is we all take our VJs too lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely what I've learned along the way, along with going through perimenopause, is that this is definitely not something that is talked about. It is not talked about nearly enough, and it's not talked about with enough honesty about what really happens. Like when we had kids, there was that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, and of course it hit all the highlights, but it didn't give you the down and dirty details of being pregnant, of all the shitty things that happen when you're pregnant, right? It's like all the beautiful
Yeah,
things.
a little
like,
fairy tale.
Right. I feel that way about this. Nobody talks about like he has gotten the most earful and knows way too much about the female anatomy
Way
at this
too
point. Yeah, like there are things that I have
Now
told
you know.
him, and
Like
he's
I feel like I need to take a what is that? Stethoscope. Like, what's going on here?
But yeah, it is. It's a lot that they don't talk about, and it needs to be talked about because this part of women's health it's serious. No woman should walk around thinking that the uncomfortableness is just par for the course now. This is just what we have to deal with until the end.
I'll say this: I think there's not enough discussion on, like you said, what was the book you just said?
What to expect when you're
Yeah,
expecting.
what to expect when your ass gets old.
Yeah.
And your body changes. Mm-hmm. That's what there needs to be. Where's that book at?
Yeah.
So we went to Tanya and I. We went to the Falls Church reunion, and there was a girl out there, right? It was so funny, and she's out there. It was a cool day that day. It wasn't like it was
Wasn't
hot or
super
something.
hot, yeah.
Yeah, and she had a like a fan. She was just going at it, and I turned around. I'm like, hot flashes? She's like, real for real. So I asked Steph, I'm like, yo, so you got to explain this whole hot flash nonsense to me. Like as a guy,
I have a metaphor for you. Imagine what it'd be like to set your ass on fire from the inside.
And you can't locate it. You can't
And you
locate
can't put it
where
out.
the fire is coming from.
And you can't put it out.
is it just you're hot, or is it like,
No, it's like you get a
You feel like you're burning, right? Inside?
It's
nigga,
not-
what do you know about menopause?
Your internal temperature spikes
really quickly.
so fast.
Yeah.
But to the outside, you're completely normal. Like if I'm
But-
having a hot flash, you're not going to walk up and touch me and be like, wow, you're really hot.
But you know what I noticed though? So you sweat in different places. Like, when you're a kid and you like play a sport, you're in certain places you always sweat. You always sweat in your pits. You know what I mean? It's just, those are just normal places. You don't sweat there. You sweat like in the crease of the interior of your arm or behind your knee. I played sport. I never have ever sweat right here, or just right here. Not like your hair's wet and it's rolling down.
No. Yeah.
Just right here. Not the front, just the back.
So
And it could be, you could have perspiration included, but it's wet. Like literally, I can go like this, and it's wet.
So is every woman going to go through menopause?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, but their
not
levels are different.
necessarily with
Not
all,
the same.
Not necessarily with all the side effects. So
Yeah.
like that can vary for people. Like I think I'm now in perimenopause, which can be 10 years before you.
Yep.
So menopause is when you have not had a period for 12 months.
That'd be
official.
me. And
That
I'm
is
happy
not
about
so
it.
that they are now coming out with information that is absolutely not the only marker. It is definitely a hormone test, and I think it's like it's not an HCG test. I think it's an HCT test. And it has to be a consistent deficient number for so long, coupled with the not having a period. But you cannot have your period for 6 months and that hormone level be in menopause stages, and you're already in menopause. You might only had no period for 6 months.
Yeah, I think. Well, they probably
Yeah.
do more testing depending upon your age. Like my mom went through it early, like she was young, and they didn't test her for it because of her age.
So I'm going to say this because I just sent Pat a video on this yesterday because now that I'm got all these menopause videos. And there was this.
Your algorithm is like, she's a hot flash.
So there's a woman who, I think her page is called like the Galveston Diet something, but she is an OBGYN who specifically and only deals with perimenopause and menopausal patients. She no longer delivers babies. She has just dedicated her career to that.
Bless her.
And she gave an interesting thing on a video that I watched yesterday that said that up until 1980, women were still being able to be diagnosed with female hysteria, which I don't know if you guys know the history behind female hysteria, the invention of the vibrator, all of that. So she said that because we were able to be diagnosed with female hysteria, menopause wasn't really being looked at because the symptoms for, if you looked up the 1980, whatever the medical journal is, but basically like WebMD's definition of what female hysteria was, it's menopause symptoms. They are menopause symptoms, and that's how they were classifying it up until 1980, which as women, that's fucking scary.
Okay.
That's very scary.
My question is, as a guy and not understanding this whole thing, like, does it ever end?
Yes, eventually. But usually you have it for, I'm going to averagely say, you go through all the menopause symptoms for like 10 years.
So what's the after effect?
It's just gone, I guess.
It's just gone.
I'll let you know when I get there.
I mean, 51 is the average age for menopause from what I've read, because I'm 48, and so I was like, oh, when is this supposed to happen? But there's some people who don't go through it till like they're 55 or 56 or 57.
And some people go through it for a year, and other people will be like 13 years.
The really pronounced symptoms, but this is, if I guarantee you, if you stopped and you really started to think back to where you were like 35 to 38, you started noticing tiny little changes in your cycle,
Oh, yeah.
in yourself, in your...
Mine was really normal up until the past 8 months.
It's just always been consistent and
Very
normal.
consistent.
Because
Unless there was stress. Like I
Yeah.
maybe skipped a couple of periods. But I will say I feel like what people complain about in their 30s about changes in general, this sounds like I'm bragging, but I didn't notice those till like my mid 40s. Like I was always like 10 years
that's
off of
that's
the thing,
amazing, and that,
which is cool.
That might have something to do with the fact that you didn't have kids, so that might be
Maybe,
why
yeah,
yours
who
was a
knows?
little bit more stable
Yeah.
instead of having.
See, I didn't get stable until I had a kid. Mine was all over the place.
Yeah, I've heard that from people too,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
stuff like
I
bad
was
things
never,
go away from
I was
having a kid.
never regular until after I had Sid.
I was never unregular until my third child, and that's when, right after I had Monica, I was 35. And really, after I healed from that pregnancy, as my cycles kept going, if I had to look back, I noticed changes. My periods changed, the way they felt changed, the duration changed.
I would say some duration. I had
Yeah.
some durational
Yeah.
changes maybe like in the past few years.
And those are minimal. Like, those are the minimal
yeah, like heavier,
symptoms.
lighter, that kind of thing.
Those are the minimal symptoms, though, that go under the radar that we don't notice because we're like, oh, I'm stressed this month. This just must be a bad period. If
So is that? I'm sorry. So I'm just thinking
No.
thinking of it from a guy's perspective, right? So we understand when our when our females have their period, they have like emotional changes and stuff like that. You're a little bit more irritable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the changes other than the physical that happens with the women when they're going through menopause?
Well, so-
Brain fog.
Yes. Oh my God,
Brain
it's horrible.
fog is
Joint
huge.
pain, apparently, which
Yeah.
I've never heard before.
Yeah, I have that
Yes.
all the time. And also, I'm going to say this just from my own personal
And muscular
experience.
pain.
They just changed my cancer medication. Because after you have cancer, you have to take medication for 5 years. And remember how hot I used to be all the time? Have you noticed I have not had a hot flash since I've been
Okay.
here? Because they gave me some other medication. And I mean, I still have hot flashes because I'm in that error, but they are so minimal now. I'm talking about instead of like, remember how we were sharing fans?
Yeah.
Have you noticed? Just think about it since we've been here together. I have not had one. So I'm saying that to say, whatever medications you're on, look at all that. Look at your age. Look at any medications you're on, because those things can heighten, because I'm already in that. It's going to heighten anything I have. So just be careful of any medications you have. If you might need it, they're just like, if you're diabetic, my parents are diabetic, they can be on different medications. They ain't got to be on the same exact medication. You got to do what's best for your body. And anytime you have something that's out of whack, I'm
Yeah.
going to say that, check into it. Because I went to call the doctor and I was like, look, these hot flashes are killing me. I was like, something's amiss. So I didn't take it for a month. And I wasn't sleeping. So I've now been able to sleep better.
There's like really odd symptoms that you would never think, but because so many women going through this have marked these as symptoms, they are actual symptoms that you would never think.
Mm-hmm.
Itchy ears. Itchy ear
I've read that
canals.
too.
Itchy
Really?
ear canals are a symptom. Don't know why. Dry skin. Like
Insomnia.
Insomnia, but your skin is like drier than it's ever been. No matter how much lotion you put on,
Yep.
it sucks it up and it's dry again. Vaginal dryness, huge,
Yeah.
huge, and then that causes a whole level of dysfunction in a relationship, because now the man's like, I don't understand, and the woman's really
I'm
like,
like,
I
I don't
understand either, but like this is what it is. So there's that. There's pain. Sex all of a sudden becomes painful because in order for a woman's vagina to respond and work properly in a sexual situation, your hormones have to be correct, right? Because your hormones provide certain lubrication, certain relaxation to the muscles to, allow things to open up, be accepted. There's a
Be
lot
accepted.
of, there's a lot of different things that happen.
So I think we talked about this on previous podcasts before, right? So men are direct communicators, A to B, right? Women are A, F, G, D. So you kind of go all over the place before you like get to the point, right? When you're in a relationship, married, whatever, dating, whatever the situation may be, and you're going through menopause, right? The guy's confused as shit. Like the guy, I'm going to tell you right now, he has no idea what you're going through.
So is the woman.
I know, but what and you three females can tell us guys, like, how would you better communicate that to the guy so he understands what it is that you're going through?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is we have to know first. You know what I mean? And remember the first symptom that Steph just said was brain fog. I'm telling you, that shit is real.
Yep.
You can be doing something and all of a sudden you're just like, where am I at? Why am I here? What's going on?
Like,
I don't care if it's work, driving, whatever. You will literally like, I don't know if it's zoned
There
out.
are so many examples and times that you and I have been hanging out together, and you will be like, yo, where are you? And you think it's my ADD, but then I'm kind of lost in the mix. It is sheer brain fog. I have never been so ADD distracted that I literally am sitting here and I'm like, I want that cup of ice over there. And by the time I levitate to my feet to go across the room, I will stop and be like, why the fuck am I standing up?
Yeah.
Like, what was I getting
I'll tell
ready
y'all
to
that.
go do?
So I don't remember what the hell we were doing, and it was so funny. And we were somewhere. Oh, I think we were at dinner or something. Yeah, we were at dinner somewhere. I don't remember where it was. And literally, I'm having a full-on pledge conversation. Like, she's engaged, I'm engaged. And then, like, halfway through the conversation, I figured out I'm talking to myself. And I just stopped. I wanted to see how long it was going to take before she realized that I ain't talking no more. And she just like sat there like this. I'm like, where are you? It's like, oh shit. Oh yeah, was that the brain fog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my
And it
goodness.
happens when you're working,
Driving. Oh, driving is scary.
Sometimes I'm driving. I'm like,
Yo, and
Where
so,
am I?
like I'm in a familiar place, like where we grew up or something, and I'm like, where am I? And I'll be like, where the hell am I going? I've taken wrong turns, knowing damn well that's not the way to go to wherever I'm trying to go.
Yep.
I know exactly where to go, how to get there, and I've turned wrong, and I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Yo, that's some crazy shit.
It
man.
literally is.
I mean, that happens to me, but that's from menopause.
Yeah,
That's the weed. That's the weed.
That's the weed.
That's the
I
weed.
mean,
That's the
I
weed.
was walking from the gym, walking home, and I was coming down, I forgot what, or
Like you're
Irving
on
Street.
autopilot.
Yeah, and then I walked right across 11th Street, and I'm just walking, right? And I was like, where? I don't recognize any of these places. Where am I? And I freaked out for a second. I was like, holy shit, where am I?
Well, just
But
imagining,
don't you
go
think
back.
sometimes
but
it's
just imagining that happened
I thought
like
I had
15 times in a day.
was
That's
like,
that
sometimes
same
like-
thing.
I was like, am I having dementia? What's going
Oh
on?
my
Because I was
God.
freaking the fuck out. And I was like,
But sometimes
you
edibles-
zone
Did
out.
No,
Did
the
you
edibles.
Google?
I remember I took edibles and it kicked
Yeah,
in.
but that's so. I mean, we all have the capacity to go into autopilot. I don't know if you guys remember this from when Mike Pierce was on here. That's a state of self-hypnosis. When you're on autopilot and you're like, fuck, I just went like way too far. How did I get here? And you don't remember that. You're in self-hypnosis at that point. You're somewhere else in your
Yeah,
subconscious.
Totally
I've
somewhere
been
else.
driving.
Yeah.
I've been driving before, and I've taken this route numerous times, and I literally just passed my exit, and then I turn around, I'm like,
Yeah, but it's like that, but
the hell did I do-
intensified and frequent.
Like you, I don't know
Frequent.
if you've had this experience. If you guys have had this experience, I forget words.
Yes.
Not
I'm
so
like,
much
you
for
know,
me.
that thing.
That
And all-
is-
That happens to me all
Thank God for the
the
thesaurus.
time.
Forgetting words is very
I
scary.
get that all
My
the
main
time.
symptom has been just obviously like my cycle being like the past couple, it was like every 2 months I'd have a period, or I'd like one for like one day and then I'd get one a couple weeks later, and that's been like 2 times now. But then I don't know if I'm having hot flashes, or I don't know if contributing factors like your partner turning the gas fireplace on all day long, which heats the
I
upstairs
get
up
cold,
to like 80
man.
degrees.
It's cold in that
Dog,
house.
you
And then
need
you
to
have a
check your
down
iron.
comforter.
you need to check your iron.
I got
bro.
my iron
'Cause
checked.
I get-
It's good.
I get the- I
I'm
get-
just cold.
You need to start taking cayenne pepper supplements. I'm telling
Cayenne
you,
pepper, huh?
Yeah.
it will absolutely. So what it
Please,
does
'cause it's
is
hot
it's for
in our
circulation.
house.
And if you have proper circulation through all parts of your body, your body should be able to regulate itself
Send
to
me
the
the link.
temperature that it's at. It's
I can attest
Because
to
mine's
this shit.
always at night, and I get like a little sweat in the back of my neck sometimes, or here and there, and I have to kick my. But I don't know if it's all
Oh, yeah.
the other things.
That's the beginning
It's a
thing.
combo.
I'm
It's a
going to
combo.
tell you, for me, it's my blood pressure meds because it
Yeah.
thins your blood
Yep.
out.
My
you
dad
get
had the same.
You get colder, right? So that's what's happening to me.
Ah.
But the good news is, I don't think you might not have to worry about it. Next month, my doctor might take me off my
The
blood pressure.
completely?
meds.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk
we're gonna
about.
talk about
we're-
Haran
yeah,
next.
we're gonna get into Haran in a second. But talking about the whole cold thing. One of the bad for me byproducts of losing weight is I am forever freaking cold.
But I know fat people who are cold all the time because poor circulation.
circulation.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm like, man.
So that cayenne pepper supplement also, they have transitioned people off of blood pressure medicine and put them on cayenne, and it works better. The crazy thing about cayenne as an herb, when it's ingested into the bloodstream, is that it thins the blood and helps as a clotting agent at the same time. And they say it's like it's kind of like a miracle
Miracle
in the way
balance.
that it works. If you have thicker blood, platelets that are sticking, cholesterol, things like that, it will literally thin that out. But if you have a clotting problem and you are an easy bleeder, it will actually go to wherever you have bleeding and stop it.
I need that.
Yeah.